It took a long time before they could confirm smoking a cigarette could lead to lung cancer, blah, 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 blah. But there was lots of, no pun intended, smoke to signify something could be wrong. And she said, you don't want to wait till they prove something is bad for you. You already see signs. Like in my case, if I eat bad things, I break out. Alcohol is a good example, right? If I drink regular red wine, some California red wine, there's a good chance my sinuses will go crazy. Like one nostril will clog up or something. You drink organic wine or some wine from Italy or something, no problems. But you typically find the trainers with people training in this other section. Jumping up and down on boxes or playing with ropes, battle ropes, right? Or kettlebells, doing some exotic stuff.
And that's all like what I think about when I think about that. I think about like, are you familiar with the movie Rocky?
Yes. Yeah.
I think about the Rocky montage when it's Eye of the Tiger is the thrill of the fight.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. You know, it's good for an Instagram reel. It's good for a story to get the sweat on their brow and them doing this and doing the burpees and all of this and having the face. But is it really gonna help you? It's good in moments to do some HIIT workouts, but I would say that if you did strictly that, it's not going to be sustainable, and there's other issues with it. But go ahead and
that's a great point, because people love HIIT. You just said not sustainable, so increased risk of injury, right? Especially if you're older, and it's just harder. You can walk on the treadmill relatively easy, or on a Stairmaster, you can get the sweat going 20, 30, 40 minutes. You can play with your phone, you can watch something on the screen, listen to something. It's something you can do week after week, month after month, year after year. That HIIT stuff is pretty difficult. It's not called HIIT for no reason, right? And if you're doing it properly, it will crush you. Now, some people love it, whatever, but it's mentally harder to do that several times a week than it is to walk on the treadmill or just to walk outside or walk on the Stairmaster. It's very easy to do these other things, right? So you got HIIT, high intensity interval, and you got LIST, low, income steady state, right? Low impact steady state rather. This one is easier, and it's almost like an insult to injury, because when you go to those gyms where you have a ton of these hot bodies, they're not doing HIIT for their cardio. They're chilling on the Stairmaster or the treadmill. Which is, if you look at any of these bodybuilder types, because those are typically the people with the most fantastic bodies, right? The people you see on the cover of magazines, whether it's a lady or a guy. Most of these people, they're not doing HIIT exercise. They're lifting heavy things, and then they're doing some steady state cardio. Like they're just sitting there pedaling the bike, like the spin bike, right? And they're not crushing. They're not going, They're more like a regular pace kind of a thing. So to me, it's like they get to have their cake and eat it too. Look good is like my slogan, right? Look great, feel even better. Because I'm all about like I said earlier, looking good to me is not enough, typically. I tried that many, many times, but it was the right set of factors at the right time. I was unhappy how I looked, and the health thing. For different people, it's different things, right? But it's usually not just enough I want to look better. Or it's usually not just enough, I want to be healthy. It's usually something spurs them. Like when I ask people, if you tell me you want to lose weight, I ask why. You say, okay, I want to be back to my basketball playing weight. Why? Because I want to wear this suit. Why? Because, I want to get out there and feel good about myself. Why do you want to feel? Because I feel bad. And then I start digging into the true reasons. And that, once you can bring that out of somebody, it helps them. They're much more likely to go ahead and not quit. And it gives them a better idea, because the opposite extreme. I've had 2 times people pay me money and they didn't do anything. Literally nothing. And they paid me. Because I realized in hindsight, they weren't mentally where they needed to be. They wanted to do something and they paid, and then they just never did anything. And at the time, I didn't know what I should have asked, things I should have said to get them in that space. And now I know to ask these things up front. You know what I mean? I would ask you from the get-go, what's different this time around? I'd ask you, have you tried things? Or you tell me yes. I'm like, what have you tried? Okay, what's different this time around? Right? I'm trying to figure out, are you willing to go to war to transform yourself? Because it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Right?
So you try to find out now if they're committed, and then you also try to find out their why before you even invest time. So what did you do in those scenarios when the people paid you? Like, they just wouldn't show up for the the workouts? They just weren't committed?
So I don't do one-on-one workouts. I do online personal training. The same thing my coach.
Okay, got you.
So I talk with the person, get an idea based on your lifestyle, what you want to do, et cetera, et cetera. I create a customized meal plan and workout plan for you, which is what the coaches did for me, right? But literally gave them the plan and they just kind of ghosted me, or they just slowly faded away, but they just never did anything, really, to be honest. Never asked for their money back or anything either. So, it was kind of strange, but at the time I thought it was strange, but I realized not. Because I remember I interviewed my first coach, right? And it was amazing to me when she said, I think she said she only has a 60% success rate. And I remember thinking, that sounds crazy. Only 60% of the people do what you tell them to do. And I remember thinking, that's insane. This woman looks fantastic. She made other people look really good. It was boggling my brain. Why would people not listen to her? Because I listened to her, right? Mm-hmm. But then knowing what I know now, I realized that, I could see this. I could definitely see this, right? The person's not mentally ready. They're trying, but they're just not there. It's like sometimes people sign up New Year's resolutions, right? I want to lose weight. So they sign up for the gym. They stop going, but every month rather, their credit card or debit cards gets billed. Because how gyms make money, right? They don't make money off people that go regular. They make money off people who don't show up. This is how they make money. That's how they make all their money, right?
And everybody that goes to the gym knows, no offense, I rock with people and I like people that are coming and trying to better themselves.
Yes.
But everybody that is a person that goes to the gym regularly knows the new people that come in on January and February. And by March, we all know that 80% of them will be gone.
Yes. And that was me, man. I was in that bucket. I would show up and I'll be gone. And when I started going to the gym regular, I started noticing that phenomenon. You start seeing the regular people. And you're like, hey, what's up? You don't even know their name, but you said hi, and they say hi to you. And, maybe you talk, maybe you get to know their names or whatever. But it makes a difference. But like I said, that deeper why, right? Because another thing, I remember it was embarrassing for me to get a haircut. When I'd go and get my haircut, the barber would go, yee, and my scalp would just flake like it was snowing. So I have dermatitis, eczema, and psoriasis. All of those things magically disappeared when my diet cleared up.
Wow.
So there's studies showing both things. Some studies show organic is great, and there's some that show it doesn't do anything. And my view on this is I use critical thinking and common sense. Why would if this was broccoli with no pesticides, or this was chicken that ran around outside doing chicken things, or fish that swam around the sea versus a fish tank, why would I not pick this, or why would I go with this broccoli where I wouldn't squirt a little pesticide in my mouth? Why would I do this, right? So all things being equal, I might as well get the clean one. And I know from just my personal experience, once I started eating clean, and just cleaned up my environment as well, all these problems disappeared. I used to joke I was making dermatologist wealthy. I had prescription shampoos, prescription lotions, and all those things I didn't need them once I cleaned up my diet. They just all went away. And whenever I eat bad for too long, I'll start breaking out again. Usually behind my ears, start get flaking, my eyebrows, my scalp will start get itchy and red, or I may want to scratch it. Just no bueno. So I highly recommend. And nowadays, clean food is significantly healthier than it was before. The only two things out there are still expensive are beef and seafood. Seafood, for sure, you can buy it on sale. I'm talking like wild caught stuff. No matter where you're here, whether you have a Publix, a H-E-B, a Kroger, a Whole Foods, whatever, that section in the supermarket eventually will put seafood on sale. You can just buy it in bulk. The person back there will cut it up for you, package it, you throw it in your freezer, you thaw it out when you're ready to cook it and eat it, right? The beef is still expensive, but everything else, the vegetables, chicken, other kinds of meats they're very affordable. Plus, you'll pay far more in the long term with your health care. You can legitimately go bankrupt.
That's a good point.
With terrible health care, right? So, and I remember a guy, the first Whole Foods I used to go to when I lived in Texas, he was one of the butchers. He used to work, I think, one of the major supermarkets, let's say. And he was talking about how even though the free range chicken was small at Whole Foods, he said it was still the same thing because the other ones, part of the reason they're so damn big, he said, is the water in them. He says they're not that big. I forget what they said, whether they added the salt or whatever it is to suck up all this fluid. It's misleading. You know what I mean? And a chicken shouldn't be as big as a damn turkey. Some of these chickens today, I think what they call them the plumpers. It's very sad actually. I'm not sure if you've ever seen this. The chickens, they're so pumped full of hormones. They're so big that when they walk, they can only walk a couple steps and then have to sit down. Because their legs can't hold the weight and their legs will break and all those other kind of things. You know, anything that's fed to the animal is going in you, right? So when they say these studies on beef being bad, there's none of these studies on grass-fed beef. It's cows that are fed corn, GMO corn, all this other kind of nonsense. Or I'll use pigs as a good example. The internal organs of a pig is the closest to a human being, all right? When they do autopsies on pigs that do pig things, play in the mud, eat all kind of garbage, like what pigs are supposed to do, all their internal organs look normal. When they do it on pigs fed the GMO stuff, they see like cirrhosis of the liver, they see heart damage, all the bad things you see in humans, right? When you're not eating right and all this other kind of stuff. So the way I look at it is, where you see smoke, you see fire. I remember this interview with this doctor, Dr. Devra, Devra Davis. She was talking about cell phone. It's a totally different thing, but the analogy is important. She said, the thing with science is this. First they see smoke, then they see fire, and this takes maybe decades, and they do studies to confirm that something is bad, like smoking, as an example. It took a long time before they could confirm smoking a cigarette could lead to lung cancer, blah, 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 blah. But there was lots of, no pun intended, smoke. This signifies something could be wrong. And she said, you don't want to wait till they prove something is bad for you. You already see signs. Like in my case, if I eat bad things, I break out. Alcohol is a good example, all right? If I drink regular red wine, some California red wine, there's a good chance my sinuses will go crazy. Like one nostril will clog up or something. You drink organic wine or some wine from Italy or something, no problems, right? A friend of mine I used to work with, she said, you know, she went to Italy with her husband. And she said, Kirk, I don't understand. We're at the cafes, drinking the wine, everything is good. Come back to the U.S., her husband would get a migraine drinking wine. And I was like, it's all the preservative and crap in the wine, right? I remember the first bottle of organic wine I ever got from Whole Foods. After a couple of weeks, I poured and went to drink. I went, it had turned to vinegar. Because
it didn't have the preservative.
I carried it back and told him the wine is bad. And the guy explained, I was like, I didn't know. And they were nice enough to give me a new bottle, right? Whole Foods has great customer service that way. But anyway, to my friend, I said, you know, go to Whole Foods, buy a bottle of organic wine, probably costs you like $10, $12. If it fails, I will refund you the money. She said, Kirk, we drank the whole bottle, no headache. You know, it's little things like this. I don't need a study to tell me that thing is good. I just need to use my critical thinking and my damn common sense, right? It's not an accident. And as a bonus, I can't prove this, but maybe we should do some research on this. I feel like, because I've had people tell me this before, I feel like the organic stuff hits them harder. For sure, it has less of a hangover. I've tried this. I've gotten like organic, what's the thing called? Tequila. And I've tried it with like gin and tonic stuff. And this is a great experiment if you like to drink, for you or anybody who's watching.
I'll try it. I'll definitely try it.
Get the organic stuff. You go to one of those, you know, those big alcohol stores that will have that stuff. You will notice, no exaggeration, the next morning, there's no hangover. There's no nothing. Literally, there's no nothing. Because a big part of what makes you have all the bad stuff is not alcohol. Alcohol is a part of it, but it's all the extra garbage that they put in the alcohol, right? This I'm 100% sure on.
So something that somebody doesn't have a nutritionist, just to do some recap here, you would say you should probably go for organic meat, poultry, fish when you can.
Yes.
And
organic
as well
and
products in general when you can. Now they're going to cost a bit more.
Yes.
And I know some people are going to push back against you because they're going to be like, inflation is at an all-time high. Yeah. I recently went to a local butcher shop that I go to, and I bought a bag of a 10-pound bag of chicken breasts.
Okay.
Like I usually do. And I was surprised because I hadn't been there in a while. And this bag was usually like $30 and it was $65 when I got it, because the price of chicken went from around $3.50 to where I'm at to $6.50. And that was on sale. So the price of meat has gone up, but I still would say that it's better for your body and that it also is cheaper than ordering out all the time, which a lot of people are doing. The epidemic of the Grubhub and the Uber Eats has really started to plague the community.